Hi there, and thank you for watching this week's Weatherquest farming forecast. So I think we're going to start off this week taking a look at what's probably been the biggest weather story over the past couple of weeks for the UK, and that's been how dry it's been for many places. So this map here is showing the number of consecutive dry days that any given weather station in the UK has recorded up until the 13th of April, so up until yesterday. And what you can see here is that, well, the darker colours indicating a greater number of days, the paler colours indicating only a couple of days since last recording rainfall. So you can see northern England, parts of southern Scotland. Some stations have gone up to a week without seeing any rainfall, but the main area of where it's been drier has been southern England, particularly that area between London and Brighton, where some stations have actually gone 15 or 16 days without recording any rainfall at all. So it's been exceptionally dry across parts of southern England. And up until the weekend it also was across parts of the Midlands and East Anglia, where there was a 10, 12, 13 day period for some stations which didn't see any rainfall. But over the weekend, when we saw those heavy showers and thunderstorms kick off, some places did record a few millimetres of rain. So albeit not a great amount, but places across the Midlands and East Anglia have seen some rain over the past couple of days, and that's highlighted there in that area of paler colours in some central and eastern areas. So that rainfall, like I say, was courtesy of some showers and thunderstorms that kicked off on Sunday afternoon, and this is a snapshot of the radar from Sunday evening at 6 PM, and you can see by that point the thunderstorms were across parts of northern England, the eastern Midlands, and a particularly active area of thunderstorms across southern East Anglia, which then spread northwards across the region with quite a lot of lightning around. And it is getting to the time of year where we're beginning to see afternoon showers and thunderstorms developing at times, and it's a great time to have a look at WQRadar. Here you can see near real-time 5-minute rainfall radar across the UK. You can also see the latest weather stations, observations of temperature, humidity, rainfall, pressure, things like that. And as well as that, you can get lightning alerts sent directly to your phone or email whenever lightning is detected in your vicinity. So it's a great time to check out WQRadar. If you want to have a look at that, just log on to the website there, wqradar.co.uk, and you can see all the information there. But taking a look back at the rainfall that we saw on Sunday, so this is a few selected weather stations from East Anglia showing the rainfall in the 24 hours leading up to 6 AM on Monday morning on the 13th. So you can see the actual amounts of rainfall weren't actually that high from those thunderstorms. The greatest amount recorded was at Broomsbarn near Bury St Edmunds, which recorded 6 millimetres across 24 hours. And it was very variable across the region, so some places such as Weybourne and Writtle only recorded less than a millimetre throughout the whole day, and some stations such as Wisbech didn't actually record any rainfall at all during that day from those showers. So it is highly variable in that situation where you get showers kicking off or thunderstorms, and some places can receive quite a lot of rain and some places little or no rain at all. And I think that's represented well here in this map here, which shows the radar estimated rainfall for the same time period, the 24 hours through Sunday and Monday. So I haven't included a scale on here, as often in these sorts of situations the radar can overestimate the amount of rainfall that has fallen. But what's important really, I think, to look at is the variability across that area. So zooming in on the area where those thunderstorms were across the Midlands and East Anglia, you can see how variable it was. So taking Norfolk for example, some parts of western Norfolk saw no rainfall at all, whereas western Suffolk, some places potentially could have seen 10 to 15 millimetres of rain. Now, like I say, the weather station that officially recorded the most rain was Broomsbarn of 6 mil, but around the weather stations it could have been that those thunderstorms did actually bring potentially close to 10 mil, perhaps more to some places. So really variable in this sort of situation when there's showers and thunderstorms. Some places can see a relatively high amount of rain, where some places can receive little or no rain, and that's really important to bear in mind. I think going forward, when you see rain in the forecast from showers, it could be that some places will actually see quite a lot of rain, but it could be that if you miss out on the rain, it's because you've missed a shower or you only got the edge of a shower. So really variable in this sort of situation when we've got showers sort of kicking off kind of across the region. Now, talking about dryness, this map here is from the Centre for Ecology and Hydrology, and it shows the relative dryness across the UK based on model simulations of subsurface moisture surface storage based as an anomaly from the historical mean. So this is not the soil moisture across the UK, but is an indication of how that's deviated from its normal position. So we had that extremely wet February where we saw the wettest ever February as an average across the UK. Following on from that, March was quite dry for many places, particularly across the south. For example, East Anglia saw 56% of its average March rainfall. And by the end of March, which is then where this relative dryness graph is applicable for, showing that many places are relatively dry compared to where they normally would be at this time of year. So even after all that rain we had for February, January, and going back into the previous year, hasn't taken a huge amount of dry weather just to push that back into, actually most places are relatively dry now, and some of those places in the reds and oranges are actually very dry compared to normal, what they would be. So we are getting to the point where actually many of you have been calling on the phones asking when it's going to rain, because this dry weather is just sort of continuing to prolong and keep the soil relatively dry for much of the UK, but particularly sort of in the south and in central areas. So taking a look at the forecast for the next couple of days, this area of high pressure drapes across the UK and Central Europe. It's what's been keeping us pretty much dry for the past couple of days. Through Wednesday, that begins to weaken, but still roughly staying over us, keeping conditions dry. But you will see into Thursday that we see this area of low pressure out to the south developing in the Bay of Biscay, beginning to push northwards into the UK as the high pressure moves further north into Scandinavia. And it does look like parts of Southern Ireland, South Wales, South West England, some central areas could actually see some rain during the latter part of the week, the end of Thursday and Friday into Saturday. So potentially some rain around in the forecast for southwestern areas, but further north and east looks like it will stay mostly dry as that area of high pressure, which ends up to the north of Britain, keeps things dry, but we will see some rain pushing in towards the end of the week and into the weekend. Now Dan showed this graph from last week, and it shows for the past couple of weeks the number of ideal spraying conditions that there have been. So that's hours that have been dry with a mean wind speed of less than 10 miles an hour. So you can really see that last week from the 6th to the 12th of April, 119 hours of potential spraying opportunities. So really a lot more than the previous 2 weeks where it was 89 and 93, still a relatively large amount with the high pressure around. But last week particularly, there was quite a lot of opportunities to get out and do some spraying. And I think going forward through the rest of this week, it does look like, again, there could be quite a few opportunities about with this high pressure sticking about. So these green colours here showing ideal spraying conditions with light winds, and you can see plenty of opportunities over the next couple of days. By the weekend, as you see that low pressure coming into southern areas, it could be that there is a reduced opportunity in some parts, but generally it's looking good for this week if you want to get out and do some spraying kind of in the fields. Now, taking a look at rainfall over the next 10 days. So this is a probability forecast based for Northampton in the East Midlands over the next 10 days. And it shows how a number of different model runs are predicting rainfall. So higher percentages where the models are in agreement, doing the same thing like an ensemble forecast. So the next couple of days for Wednesday, Thursday, very high confidence that it's going to stay dry for this area. 100% of the models going for less than half a mil of rainfall. But by the end of the week and into the weekend for Friday, Saturday, you can see there's a bit more of a spread. Still, most of the model members are going for those lower amounts of rain, less than 2 mil or so, but there are some that are going for potentially up to 10 to 15 mil in a few spots. And although it's quite a low confidence, it could be that some places do see a relatively large amount as these showers and rain come through. I think generally most places, it's not going to be widespread. Most places are probably going to see only small amounts of rain, but the odd place could see something a little bit higher for that Friday and Saturday period. But then onwards for the end of the weekend into the next week, it generally looks like most of the models are going for less than 2 millimetres of rain. So going back to something drier, there are a few model runs that are going for something a bit more, but generally the story here is I think that it's looking dry into next week with just potentially a little bit of rain around for the end of the week and the first part of the weekend. So looking a bit further ahead, this is what the jet stream is expected to look like next week as an average throughout the week. So you can see generally running to the south of the UK, across Iberia, through the Mediterranean and off into Eastern Europe, with high pressure there, those pale colours across the UK and Iceland, building to the north. So that's generally going to lead to drier conditions than average for this time of year across the British Isles, parts of Northern Europe, Central Northern Europe, Scandinavia, generally drier than average conditions. But that more active jet stream across Southern Europe is going to push areas of low pressure, bringing rain and showers for those areas. So generally wetter than average across Southern Europe, but further north, like I say, it looks like it will stay on the drier side with below average rainfall. Now with the jet stream to the south of us as well, it looks like that's going to bring colder air down, so colder than average temperatures for much of the British Isles and again Northern Europe, Scandinavia. So a bit of a change to what it has been over the past couple of weeks, where obviously we've seen some quite warm temperatures, but I think after this weekend through next week it is going to turn chillier. In the UK, the best of the warmer temperatures are going to be further southwest, southwest England, South Wales, Southern Ireland. That's where the warmest temperatures are going to be, but generally most places are going to turn that bit chillier. Now looking ahead for the week beyond that, just nudging into the first week of May, this is the average mean pressure anomaly. So these blue colours here showing lower than average pressure, and what this map indicates here is that generally things are going to become a bit more unsettled, a bit more changeable as we nudge into that first week of May. And you can see that reflected in the rainfall anomaly. So it's not a strong signal for that end of April, first week of May time, but you can see parts of southern England into parts of northwest Europe and perhaps into some central areas have a slight hint of something wetter than average, although many parts do stay on the drier side or close to average through central parts of Europe through that week. So a bit of a mixed picture for the first week of May, but it is generally that trend into May that we see something a bit more changeable and unsettled. You can see the temperatures again, as I should say, still below average across northern Scandinavia and northern parts of Europe through that week, still in the colder air it seems to be for the first week of May. But yes, going into the second week of May, those blue colours for the pressure still generally lingering, so it does suggest a shift to something more unsettled into May. You can see a bit more of a signal here actually for wetter than average conditions across the UK, Northern Europe and into parts of northeastern Europe. So it looks like it will turn and continue to stay on the wetter side into May, but actually with high pressure building to the south, it could be that southern Europe finally sees something a little bit drier than it is going to do over the next couple of weeks. So turning drier in southern Europe into May, but northern central areas actually becoming a little bit wetter for that period, and staying on the chillier side as well. Northern parts of Europe, Scandinavia staying cooler, but actually from the south temperatures beginning to recover as we see high pressure building and some warmer air moving in to southern and some central parts of the continent as well. So to summarise, I think for the next couple of days it's going to stay largely dry with an increased chance of rain towards the weekend and into next week. It'll also turn cooler into next week for a time, potentially for the next couple of weeks. It looks like those warmer temperatures that we had last week aren't going to come back as much. It will still be mild at times, but generally cooler, and then potentially turning more changeable towards the end of April and into the first part of May for much of Central Europe and the UK. So thank you for watching. As ever, you can subscribe to us on YouTube, or if you want to check out our daily forecasts on Facebook and Twitter, you can find us at the following addresses there.